Hello, my name is Nick, and I'm here to talk about the 6 pillars of self-esteem. This is a book I've been reading by Nathaniel Brendan, and this book has been literally changing my life. I've been following people like Ty Lopez, Tyler RSD, a bunch of great people who've been basically bringing me to read as much as possible. Now, Ty reads a book a day, but I read so far about 3 to 4 books a week. This book right now is highly recommended. That's why I decided to make this video. Is called The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, and why I think it's important. And I think this book directly talks about the quality of your life that you're experiencing right now. And essentially, your quality of your life is dictated by the amount of self-esteem that you have. Now, if you have a low self-esteem life, you will be living a low life. Essentially, you deserve less deserving, or like difficult. You need that circumstance to be hard on you and all that stuff. And I used to suffer from that quite a great extent. Now, as I'm on this mission, I'm coming to realize that self-esteem is the foundation of that transformation. And you need to increase that to get to a high self-esteem, which is essentially someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger, where his self-esteem is so high that he believed that if he just wanted to come to America and be a superstar, and he made it come true. Now, I'm not saying you all have to be Arnold or you have whatever capability he had, but essentially, the self-esteem is the dividing factor. Now, here quickly, I'm going to go through the 6 pillars of self-esteem in order to summarize what self-esteem is all about. On a side note, Nathaniel explains that self-esteem is essentially your ability to control chaos and your happiness that you derive from that. Because life is very chaotic as by nature. Because, after all, we're just floating on a piece of rock, going around a nuclear hydrogen bomb, and we're going through space meaninglessly, speed-wise. It's totally chaotic. And even as things are evolving right now, an earthquake can come destroy anything. So chaos is imminent. And control of that is our job. And how we get control over this chaos is our self-esteem. And this in return makes us happier, more productive, just makes life a lot more enjoyable. The 6 pillars of self-esteem are as follows. Number 1 is living consciously. Essentially, life, most people are unconscious. They're out of tune. They're living like zombies. They're living in the past or the future. They're either regretting the past or dreadful of the future. Now, essentially, what self-esteem requires you to do is to be in the present. Because when you are in the present and assimilating what it is now, you have maximum power. And when you come from the present and you operate forth, you have the key. That's why this is the first pillar of self-esteem, is that you need to be conscious of what's happening. That self-awareness, the wakefulness to take action and go forward. Number 2, which is coming from the consciousness, self-acceptance. You have to accept yourself as you are, shortcomings and strengths. You have to be able to take it all in. And most people avoid shortcomings, avoid pain. Let's say they're going through a breakup, they'll avoid the feelings associated with that breakup. They either go drink, or they deny it to themselves, or they keep refusing to let the person go, and this in turn increases their pain and increases their suffering and lets them lose control of their life and lowers their self-esteem. So by doing so, by having self-acceptance, even if the situation is literally horrible or not favorable, or you just lost a leg, or whatever the situation may be, you lost the battle, if you can accept what's happening to you, you actually experience it better, and the feeling goes through you. You become acquainted with what you're experiencing, and you grow, and your tolerance for what's happening grows, which in turn increases your self-esteem. Another one, number 3, is the practice of self-responsibility. Now, as I said, once you're conscious, you have to take action. And being responsible is exactly that. Self-responsible is you're responsible for what you're at. Essentially, we are the choices we make, and the actions we take make us. The thoughts we have make us. So when you're self-responsible, you become responsible for the actions that you take, and you go in the direction that you want. And you don't become a victim of things. Circumstances don't make you. You make your circumstances. And that's essentially pillar number 3. Number 4 is self-assertiveness. Assertiveness is asserting a situation and finding out what it is. So essentially, coming from an authentic place, from your deepest core. All right. Now you got to go deep within yourself and see what you're authentically really about. Now we are all different. In my own case, that really stuck with me is that I believe myself to be a warrior. If I probably died thousands of generations ago, I must have been some sort of a warrior. Right? And I felt so much of a great affinity towards that. So when I did and fought a Muay Thai fight, and when I joined the army, and even now that I'm still boxing, I'm really responding to that need to become a warrior. or to be a warrior, to be in that discipline. That's your inner calling. You got to find your bliss, and you got to follow that, whatever that calling may be. And that's part of the self-assertiveness, part of the self-responsibility, which adds up to your self-esteem, because you know who you are. Let me see. Number 5 is living purposefully. Living purposefully is very important, because most people are not living purposefully. They lack purpose. They simply follow the social narrative that is given to them. Basically, they grow up, go to school, get a job, get promoted, have a wife, have kids, get promoted, get sick, get old, die. And that's what people live, and that's what they expect. They don't have a purpose. They're just a meaningless knob or another piece of the bigger machine. And this, in my opinion, is, well, a cause of great concern, because it leads to so low self-esteem, because your life is meaningless. But when you have purpose, like for example, I believe my purpose is to inspire people and call them to action, and bring about them that inner warrior or inner creator within them to come out and heroically face the world and create something that will increase our value as human beings, for example. I believe that's my purpose, and that makes me wake up with great joy in the morning. Despite all the challenges that I'm facing, that gives me a sense of purpose, and it motivates me and unifies all my efforts into one thing. Lastly, I want to say the 6th pillar of self-esteem is about personal integrity. Okay, you got to have personal integrity. And essentially what that means is that you got to be honest with yourself. See, most people are deluding themselves. There's a lot of dishonesty. Like, they think due to peer pressure, due to being part of a collectivist group, like they want to fit in with the crowd. They want to, let's say, do this or do that. They might change their name in some cases, just to fit in. So you got to be honest with yourself and see where you belong in all that. And you got to let that honesty carry you through. And that also increases your self-esteem. And you have to be appropriate situations. You have to be like, if somebody says something you don't like, a racial slur, for example, you have to be appropriate in responding to it, but you do have to respond. Because if you don't respond to something that comes at you, again, that will hurt your self-esteem, because you're allowing things to happen to you. You're not taking action to assert yourself. You're not taking actions to be responsible for a situation, and this will in turn harm you. So be honest with yourself, be conscious, be responsible, be assertive, and most importantly, be conscious. This is the biggest one, the take home, I think, that comes out that will unify all of it, is that you are creating your own life. And that's why self-esteem as a whole is not something you practice, it's something you are. It's a collection of qualities that embody themselves in you. And that's why it's important to be aware of them. It's an awareness, and it's a mental practice, a meditation, if you will, adding a certain qualities to your life. Well, that's it for now. Until I'm going to add next week for another book, and hopefully we'll learn some more things. Have a good night.